Get out of my pool now. 50 strangers in my backyard, trashing everything. HOA President Karen Whitfield didn't even flinch. Relax, honey. Pool party for the community fundraiser. I never agreed to this. She waved dismissively. Oh, didn't you get the memo? All homeowners must participate in community events. It's in the bylaws. The nerve. I'd just blown my entire divorce settlement on this pool. $45,000 of blood, sweat, and tears. Some drunk idiot just shattered my patio table. Kids were diving into my pristine saltwater system with muddy feet. The stench of spilled beer and entitlement filled the air. This is trespassing. Karen smirked from her stolen pool float. Sue me, sweetie. Good luck proving I don't have community access rights. What would you do if your HOA hijacked your property? Comment your location below. Every neighborhood has one of these power-hungry maniacs. Let me back up. My name's Riley Blake, and 6 months ago, I thought I'd escaped a nightmare. 18 months of divorce proceedings left me with $85,000 in desperate need for a fresh start. So, I bought a corner lot in Pinewood Estates, a picture-perfect planned community. It's where $285 monthly HOA fees buy you manicured lawns and the illusion of peace. The previous owner, sweet Mr. Kowalski, had lived there 20 years without causing ripples. When I toured his house, old coffee grounds and Old Spice cologne still lingered in the air like ghosts of simpler times. My deed explicitly stated, pool installation rights included. 3 words that would unleash a war. But every paradise has its menace. Meet Karen Whitfield, 53, 4-term HOA, President Neighborhood Surveillance Expert. Picture surgically perfect blonde hair, designer active wear that's never touched a gym, and a white Escalade so pristine it could double as an operating room. She treats our 147 home community like her personal kingdom. My first taste of Karen's attention came during construction week 2. Tuesday morning, 7:45 a.m., 15 minutes. After quiet hours, when she appeared at my door clutching a clipboard like it contained state secrets, Riley, sweetie, we have a situation. Her voice dripped, artificial honey that made my morning coffee taste bitter. Multiple residents complained about your construction noise. The community has standards, after all. Multiple complaints. I knew exactly 3 neighbors by name. Construction started at 8. Actually, honey, I personally witnessed your workers arriving at 7:47. That's a clear violation. She'd been watching, timing them with a stopwatch. This triggered an emergency HOA meeting in our beige community center that reeked of burnt coffee and broken dreams. Karen packed the room with her disciples, graciously allowing me 3 whole minutes to defend myself. We simply want what's best for property values, she announced, her smile sharp enough to slice diamonds. Surely we all agree on that priority. The way she weaponized all while boring holes through me with her stare made my skin crawl. But Karen's masterstroke came next. My pool completion got delayed 3 weeks because she kept challenging perfectly legal permits. Then the truth emerged. She'd contacted my pool company directly, impersonating an official authority. Ma'am, she seemed legit. My contractor admitted sheepishly. Had official forms, claimed she was preventing community liability issues, said you might lose your house if we continued without proper authorization. The sheer audacity was staggering. She'd convinced my contractor that I was endangering my property with my legal project. When construction finally resumed, Karen launched daily surveillance missions. Every morning at 8:01 a.m. sharp, she'd materialize with her precious notebook, documenting phantom violations. The metallic scratch of her pen against paper became my personal torture soundtrack. Just ensuring full compliance, sweetheart, she'd chirp while photographing my workers from 17 different angles. Soon neighbors started shooting me pitying glances. Dr. Sarah Martinez, our pediatrician, whispered warnings about Karen's previous victims. Marcus Thompson, a retired teacher, and the only soul brave enough to challenge Queen Karen, shared war stories. She destroyed the Johnsons over fence height, Marcus revealed. Measured it 23 times with different rulers until one finally showed a 1/4-inch violation. That's when the truth crystallized. This wasn't about community standards or property values. This was about dominance. Karen had ruled unchallenged so long that any homeowner threatening to outshine her became an enemy requiring elimination. My pool represented everything she couldn't control. Success, independence, the audacity to improve my property without begging permission. I thought harassment was her endgame. I was catastrophically wrong. Karen was just establishing dominance before the real offensive began. 2 weeks later, Karen declared war, and she brought fake reinforcements. I was testing my pool's filtration system, savoring that perfect mechanical hum when Karen's pristine Escalade invaded my driveway. She strutted out wearing a hard hat so new the price tag was probably still attached, clutching a clipboard thick enough to be a shield. Behind her shuffled a guy in a wrinkled polo with inspector printed on what looked like a church name tag. The smell of stale cigarettes and desperation followed him like a lost puppy. "Riley, sweetie." Karen's voice could strip paint. "Meet Bill Morrison from County Safety. Time for your mandatory compliance review?" This inspector looked about as official as a mall Santa in July. His equipment, a rusty tape measure, and a camera that belonged in the Smithsonian. "Ma'am, we've had reports," Bill mumbled, avoiding eye contact like a guilty teenager. "Safety violations, electrical issues, drainage problems. I have all my permits." "HOA standards exceed city codes, honey," Karen interrupted, her smile sharp enough to cut glass. "We're protecting everyone's investments here." They spent an hour measuring my pool deck with the precision of NASA engineers, photographing every angle like they were documenting a crime scene. Bill's heavy breathing mixed with Karen's aggressive pen scratching created the world's most annoying soundtrack. But Karen had just made a fatal error. That night, my divorce-sharpened research skills kicked in. My attorney had drilled into me, always verify anyone claiming authority. Real inspectors carry official credentials, work for legitimate agencies, and document everything publicly. This man had none of that. Discovery number 1 made me laugh out loud. Bill Morrison wasn't a county inspector. DMV records showed he drove delivery trucks for Karen's husband's mortgage company. LinkedIn confirmed it. He was Karen's brother-in-law. The family business apparently included fraud. Discovery number 2 made me giggle. The violation letter was dated 3 days before their visit. Karen had written up violations before even seeing my pool. I remembered my lawyer's words about pre-written documents being clear evidence in harassment cases. Discovery number 3 made me downright giddy. Impersonating government officials carries 6 months jail time in our state, but the absolute prize made me pour a celebration drink. Karen's own 2019 deck expansion was completely unpermitted. 400 square feet of illegal construction, and she'd never filed a single form. The next morning, I made 3 calls that would ruin Karen's week. County Inspector's Office. "No Bill Morrison here, ma'am. Want to file charges for impersonation? State HOA oversight. Pre-written violations are textbook harassment. Investigation starts immediately. County planning. Unpermitted additions. We love surprise inspections." 2 days later, Karen got her own certified letter. Watching her sign for it through my window was better than cable TV. Her hands actually shook as she read the return address. Her phone call was even better. I could hear her shrieking at someone, probably her husband, through my closed windows. The panic in her voice tasted sweeter than my morning coffee. 20 minutes later, she was pounding on my door. "Riley, there's been a terrible misunderstanding. About your brother-in-law's fake badge or your illegal deck?" She turned whiter than a sheet. Bill was just being thorough. "Community safety." "Cut the crap, Karen. I've documented everything. Phone records, witness statements, photos of his cheap plastic inspector badge." For the first time in 4 years, the neighborhood tyrant was speechless. This woman who'd crushed spirits and bank accounts stood on my doorstep looking like she'd seen a ghost. But here's where things got interesting. Instead of apologizing or backing down, Karen's face twisted into something ugly. "You think you're so smart?" she hissed. "You have no idea what you've started." "Is that a threat?" "It's a promise, sweetie. This community has ways of dealing with troublemakers." She stomped back to her SUV, but before driving off, she rolled down her window. "Enjoy your pool while you can. The engine roar as she peeled out of my driveway sent chills down my spine. I'd expected submission, maybe even an apology. Instead, I'd just declared war on someone with nothing left to lose. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Check your homeowner's insurance policy. Accidents happen. That's when I realized I hadn't won anything. I'd just escalated from harassment to something much more dangerous. Karen wasn't retreating. She was regrouping. And judging by that text message, round 2 was going to be a lot more personal. Asterisk. That anonymous text was just Karen's opening shot in a psychological campaign that would have impressed a master manipulator. Within 48 hours, my life became a fishbowl of judgment. It started with whispered conversations that died when I appeared. The grocery store checkout line suddenly silent, except for the aggressive beeping of scanners. The metallic taste of anxiety became my constant companion. Then Dr. Martinez cornered me at the mailboxes. Her usual calm demeanor replaced by barely contained worry. Riley, Karen's been busy. Phone calls to every parent at school pickup, neighborhood watch meetings, even her wine and gossip book club. She's telling everyone your pool is illegally constructed. You're threatening property values that you've been. She paused, harassing city officials. My stomach dropped like a faulty elevator. She's weaponizing my legitimate complaints. Worse, she's making you sound unhinged. People are starting to believe her. The evidence was everywhere. Neighbors, who used to wave, now found urgent hedges to trim when I appeared. The Hendersons' kids, who'd always run to pet my dog, were suddenly called inside whenever I walked by. But Karen's ultimate move came Thursday night, an emergency HOA meeting that felt more like a public shaming. I expected maybe 15 people. Instead, 47 residents packed the community center like they were watching gladiators fight. The air reeked of burnt coffee and hostility. Thank you for prioritizing community safety, Karen began, standing behind a laptop like a prosecutor with evidence. We have serious concerns requiring immediate attention. She'd prepared a detailed PowerPoint presentation. Slides with photos of my pool, red arrows pointing at imaginary problems, bullet points listing fabricated dangers. Drainage issues threaten the Petersons Foundation. Electrical violations risk neighborhood fires. And the construction disruption has affected residents' health and well-being. The lies flowed smoother than aged whiskey, but her real masterstroke came during community input. Mrs. Patterson rose like a wronged widow. The construction noise triggered my migraines. I've barely slept in weeks. My realtor says the whole street's property values are dropping, Mr. Kim added, nodding gravely. One by one, Karen's disciples testified to my crimes against suburban tranquility. The sound of their manufactured outrage mixed with folding chair. Squeaks created a symphony of orchestrated hatred. Then Marcus Thompson stood up, his military bearing cutting through the nonsense like a sword. I'd like to see evidence supporting these claims. Silence fell like a dropped anvil. I live next door to Riley. No excessive noise, no drainage issues, no property value concerns. So where exactly are these problems? Dr. Martinez joined the rebellion. As a medical professional, I recognize safety violations. Riley's installation has been textbook perfect. Licensed contractors, proper permits, city approval. What am I missing? Karen's face cycled through red, purple, and back to red. Obviously, not everyone has technical expertise too. Technical expertise. Marcus's voice carried enough authority to stop tanks. I built infrastructure in combat zones. I think I can spot a drainage problem. The room's energy shifted like tectonic plates. Karen was losing control, but she had one final grenade. Fine, since you're all so confident about your neighbor's integrity, she produced a manila folder with theatrical flair. I've been corresponding with city officials about the harassment they've endured from certain residents. Ice water replaced the blood in my veins. Frivolous complaints, wasted taxpayer resources, false accusations against city employees. The inspector's office is considering legal action against residents who abuse the system with neighborhood vendettas. Utterly brilliant. She'd turned my legitimate reports about her fake inspector into evidence of my instability. Several neighbors shifted uncomfortably, shooting glances my way. The taste of defeat filled my mouth like copper pennies. But then Marcus smiled, and that smile was chilling. Karen, I'd love to examine those city documents. Official correspondence includes case numbers, reference codes, supervisor signatures. Mind sharing those specifics? That's not really because I called the city after this meeting was announced. Interesting conversation. The temperature in the room dropped 10. Karen's triumphant expression flickered like a dying light bulb. They mentioned an active investigation into inspector impersonation. Said they were extremely grateful to the whistleblower who reported it. Called it a serious felony that endangered public safety. Karen's face went deathly pale. They also mentioned expanding their investigation to include unpermitted construction violations throughout the neighborhood. Apparently, several properties have illegal additions never filed with the county. The room erupted in whispers as neighbors remembered Karen's mysteriously expanded deck. But instead of surrender, Karen's eyes flashed with something darker than anger. Desperation mixed with pure malice. "This meeting is adjourned," she announced, slamming her laptop shut. As people filed out, she cornered me near the exit. "You think Marcus can protect you?" She whispered, her breath hot against my ear. "Think again, sweetie. I know where you work." That threat hit me like a physical blow. My job, my livelihood, was about to become Karen's next target. Karen's threat about my job wasn't idle. She struck with surgical precision aimed at destroying my entire life. Monday morning, I was debugging code when my phone exploded with the worst call possible. "Riley, we need to talk immediately." My boss's voice carried the chill of corporate doom. Someone filed an ethics complaint claiming, "You've been using company resources for personal vendettas, harassing government officials, and engaging in what they called severe community disruption." The taste of copper pennies flooded my mouth. That's insane. Administrative leave effective immediately. Security will escort you out. The humiliation burned like acid as I packed my desk while colleagues whispered, 12 years of spotless performance destroyed by Karen's lies. The smell of shame followed me to the parking garage. Tuesday brought round two. My pool contractor called, voice shaking with panic. "Riley, the Better Business Bureau is investigating us for fraud. Someone filed detailed complaints claiming we're unlicensed, dangerous, using substandard materials. They're threatening to shut us down." That's impossible. Gets worse. Someone also called our insurance company claiming we caused property damage and safety violations. Our coverage might be canceled. Wednesday delivered the final blow. My mortgage company. "Miss Blake, we've received concerning information about unauthorized modifications violating your loan agreement. Someone provided photos suggesting major structural changes without our approval. We're requiring immediate inspection and possible loan acceleration." Loan acceleration. They could demand full payment of my $340,000 mortgage within 30 days. Karen wasn't just trying to ruin me. She was trying to make me homeless. That evening, a real detective appeared at my door, his expression grim as winter. "Ms. Blake, I'm investigating multiple complaints filed against you. Identity theft, harassment of elderly neighbors, impersonating city officials, filing false police reports." My legs nearly buckled. "I'm the victim here. Ma'am, I have sworn statements from 3 residents claiming you've been terrorizing them. Photos of alleged damage to their property, voice recordings of threatening phone calls." The room spun like a carnival ride. Karen had built an entire false narrative with multiple witnesses, fake evidence, fabricated recordings. She'd turned the entire neighborhood against me while positioning herself as the terrified victim. "Do you have documentation supporting your side of events?" Thank God for my software engineering paranoia. I pulled up my evidence folder, screenshots, timestamps, audio recordings, witness statements. But as the detective reviewed them, his frown deepened. "This is impressive documentation, but there's a problem. The complainants are claiming you fabricated all this evidence to cover your harassment campaign." My blood turned to ice water. Karen had anticipated my evidence and neutralized it by claiming I'd faked everything. "They're saying you used your technical skills to create false timestamps, edit audio recordings, even manipulate photographs." The elderly residents are terrified you'll escalate to physical violence. The genius of Karen's strategy hit me like a ton of bricks. She'd weaponized my own competence against me. The better my documentation, the more it proved I was a skilled manipulator, capable of elaborate deception. Detective, you have to believe me. Miss Blake, I have to follow the evidence right now. That evidence suggests you're either a victim of an elaborate conspiracy or you're running a sophisticated harassment campaign against vulnerable neighbors. He handed me a temporary restraining order. You're forbidden from contacting Karen Whitfield, attending HOA meetings, or approaching any of the complainants. Violation means immediate arrest. The paper felt like burning coal in my hands. Asterisk. Thursday morning brought the final domino. My employer's security department called. Riley, the ethics investigation has expanded. The complainant provided evidence of you using company equipment to hack into government databases and neighbors. Personal information. We're cooperating with law enforcement. Hacking charges, felony territory, prison time. I sat in my kitchen surrounded by the ruins of my life when Marcus knocked on my door. His usually confident demeanor was replaced by something I'd never seen before. Fear. Riley, we need to talk, but not here. Your house might be bugged. What? Karen's husband works in mortgages. He has connections to private investigators, digital forensics experts, people who specialize in destroying lives through legal channels. This isn't just neighborhood drama anymore. We walked to the park, the crunch of gravel under our feet providing cover for our whispered conversation. She's planning something big for the emergency HOA meeting tonight. I heard her on the phone talking about a permanent removal of problems. The autumn air carried the smell of dying leaves and impending doom. Marcus, I can't even attend HOA meetings. I have a restraining order. His smile was grim as winter. That's exactly what she's counting on. She's going to call for a vote to force you to sell your house. Claims you're a danger to community safety. Can she do that? Not legally. But if she convinces enough neighbors you're a threat, they might not care about legality. The trap was perfect. Karen had isolated me legally, professionally, and socially. Now she was moving in for the end. There's something else, Marcus whispered. I think she's been planning this for months. Maybe longer. What do you mean months? I whispered, glancing around the empty park like we were discussing state secrets. Marcus pulled out a manila folder that looked older than my divorce papers. Tommy Kowalski came by yesterday. Found this stuff behind a false wall in his grandfather's basement. The old man hid it before he died. The musty smell of aged documents mixed with the scent of rotting leaves hit me as he opened the folder. Inside were yellowed papers, faded blueprints, and bank statements that made my vision blur. Original HOA incorporation documents from 2019, Marcus explained, his voice tight with controlled rage. Look at this line item. He pointed to a budget entry that made my knees buckle. Community pool construction. $180,000 collected from all residents. Every single homeowner paid monthly assessments for 18 months. Karen collected this money for a community pool that was supposed to be built exactly where the playground sits now. My hands trembled as I flipped through bank statements. Regular deposits, steady transfers, then suddenly nothing. The money had vanished like smoke. Where did it go? Into the pockets of Whitfield Construction Management, Karen's brother's shell company? Same man who pretended to inspect your pool. The pieces snapped together like broken bones healing. She's been robbing the entire community for years. Look at these invoices. They're itemized confessions. Karen's deck expansion, $47,000. Kitchen remodel, $38,000. Husband's, Escalated, $65,000. Every luxury paid for with stolen community funds. While she told neighbors the pool project was canceled due to unexpected costs, she embezzled $180,000 meant for our pool and lived like royalty while we paid for amenities that never existed. The cosmic irony made my stomach acid bubble. And when I built my own pool, you became a walking, swimming reminder of what every neighbor had already paid for. Every barbecue by your pool, every photo on social media, it all screamed that Karen had stolen their dream and lied about it being impossible. But the real smoking gun was a handwritten note in Karen's distinctive script. Chen removal urgent. Pool visibility equals community questions about missing funds. Acquisition by any means necessary. She's been planning your destruction since Movin Day, Marcus said. His military training evident in how he organized the evidence. Your pool isn't just embarrassing. It's a $45,000 monument to her crimes. Another document made my blood freeze. Insurance fraud claims where Karen reported the embezzled HOA funds as investment losses, collecting $85,000 in insurance payouts while keeping the original stolen money. Double dipping. She stole the money and got insurance to replace it. This isn't neighborhood drama anymore, Riley. This is organized crime with a homeowners association facade. Her husband provided mortgage access for background checks. Her brother supplied fake credentials and fraudulent invoicing. And she controlled the community narrative to prevent questions. The final document was a pre-signed real estate contract. Motivated seller, pool removal included in sale price. She already has a buyer, one of her husband's mortgage clients, who wants your corner lot but plans to fill in the pool immediately. She's been orchestrating your financial destruction and property seizure for months. The scope of Karen's criminal enterprise made my head spin like a slot machine. This wasn't petty harassment. This was federal-level racketeering with suburban window dressing. Marcus, this is RICO territory. Conspiracy, wire fraud, mail fraud, insurance fraud, which explains why she's getting so desperate. Your pool is physical proof that the community pool was completely achievable. Every day you stay here increases the chance someone asks where their $180,000 went. The autumn wind carried the smell of burning leaves and approaching reckoning. Tonight's meeting isn't about harassment anymore, Marcus said, his expression darker than storm clouds. Karen's fighting for her freedom now. People facing 20 years in federal prison don't limit themselves to legal tactics. The implication hit me like a ton of bricks. Karen wasn't just trying to destroy my life anymore. She was fighting to save her own. We need help. Professional help, I said, clutching the evidence folder like a lifeline. This is way beyond neighborhood drama. Asterisk.